Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I am your host, Al Richards, and we got another really good show for you guys today. I have been working on getting this guy on the show for like 17 years, and he just keeps refusing. Finally, he decided to come on the show. No, I'm just joking. I haven't even had the show 17 years, almost three though. So
Yeah.
anyway, for a second time, my good buddy, Nicholas Smith, is on the show, and we're going to be talking about the 12 journeys. And you'll know exactly what that means once we get into the show. So you're going to have to listen to the show to know what that means. And Nick, I tell you what, this is an amazing, amazing man who's doing a lot of incredible things to help other individuals. This guy's got a heart the size of Texas, if not bigger, probably the size of the universe. And it is just an honor and a privilege to have him on the show and also to call him friend. So, Nick, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here again. So I know we're going to have a deep conversation today.
Yeah, we probably will. So the whole purpose of you writing the book, The Giant and the Smalls, and correct me because I could be going down the wrong path here, is to help people understand really that we are all giants, right? It's just all about how we look at ourselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that would be an easy way to say it. When I wrote the book, I'll tell you, to be honest, it was more like a download to me. So this book came fast and furious, and every chapter wrote itself. I recorded it so that I could catch it because it just kept flooding in. Right, this book needed to be here, and the timing was perfect. Everything was perfect. It took me from the time I wrote it back in 2009, it took me till 2020 to get it published. And so it sat for a while, and the publishing time was perfect. We launched when COVID hit. So we went through 2009 was the end of the '08 disaster. And then 2020, COVID shut down the world and people needed this more than ever. And so that's where the message really took off. And in a nutshell, yes, the message is that every one of us has been equipped by God, the universe, source. I don't know how else to explain it. My view, I'll just share my view, is that there is something higher than all of us that created this amazing universe that we get to play in, including us, and instilled in us everything we would need and put around us everything we would need to create anything we can imagine. And so every one of us is instilled with that giantness. And that's the metaphor I use because it ties to everybody without creating any offense. But that giantness is in every one of us, and it's our small thinking, our perceptions that keep us from reaching that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy steps, right? And that's why I love that you have the 12 steps, because it takes time to get us to that point, because we have been programmed by outside voices, by our parents. And again, it's no fault of theirs, right? Because they just did the best that they could, just like their parents did with them.
Right.
So it takes this time for us to start taking these steps towards getting to that giantness.
Yeah, I know in addiction they talk about the 12 steps. These are not 12 steps. They are
Correct.
12 individual journeys, and you can take one journey all by itself, or you can take all 12 journeys as a collective. And the reason they're called journeys is because each one has within it the tools to help you break free from things like addiction, from mental illness, from struggles, challenges, financial challenges, imagining beyond where you are, making it through a divorce, things that we all have because of life. These 12 journeys help you to navigate that, and not only navigate it and survive it, but to grow from it. And so there's a certain framework, and I put it in an order so that it could be followed easily, but you might do it completely out of order. You might take
Yeah.
one at a time, and we can play around in your world and tie it in so you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about these journeys. But
Yeah.
they come from that book. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, no, I mean, interrupt me at any point. I'm
Okay.
good. Yeah. So
All right.
the book, The Giants and the Smalls, is the metaphor. So it instills the metaphor. It gives you the idea of our potential, just a demonstration of that. But hidden inside of the book are these 12 journeys, and they're all there. The number one being non-consciousness. And I started the book out with Beyond the Night Sky and Further Than the Faintest Stars a world so big it would make our Earth look like a single grain of sand. The idea there was that there's a world like ours, exactly like ours. It mirrors it. They're just giants and smalls in it, but it's so vast we can't comprehend it. And our minds are a lot like that. You know, we have over 86 billion neurons, 85 billion glial cells. Every one of us has that. We have over 7 octillion atoms in one human body, 37 trillion cells in one human body. So it's not just a mind thing, it's an entire body experience that we have. We have this machine that is more complex than any machine that's ever been invented. And it's tied into the universe. It's created from the universe, it's tied into the universe. And this machine can become anything you can imagine it to be. So our thoughts create the machine, the machine creates our world, our thoughts generate all of that, right?
Yeah.
So this incredible body that we have is equipped with the storage enough for 2.5 petabytes of information. That's enough to store the internet twice in one human brain. You could store every book that's ever been written from the beginning of time. You could store 300 years of 24/7 TV in one human brain. I mean, the capacity is essentially limitless. So if the capacity and the potential is limitless, how come so many of us live so far below our potential? And that comes back to programming, right? You hit on it with family and culture and society and your own experiences, because you learned how to judge yourself in relation to your experiences, and you made that who you are. And that keeps you small.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I apologize if I said 12 steps. I'm just so used to hearing that. So yeah, again, and thank you for correcting me with the 12 journeys, because I didn't even realize I said it.
Yeah.
No, it makes a ton of sense. You know, and I've done some coaching with you, and you really helped open my eyes in a lot of things. And I've taken some other coaching stuff, you know, and I tell you what, to continuously to invest in yourself and working on yourself really is huge.
Right.
Because, and I know it's hard because not everyone has the finances to be able to do that. However, you still can, right? You can still find a mentor or someone to kind of start helping you get on that path. And that's what I love about your book, The Giant and the Smalls, because that's almost like a mentor. When I read it for the very first time, and I'm not a huge reader. It takes me a long time to read a book. And thank goodness yours isn't long, because I sat down and read it all the way through from the first time I sat down, right? I didn't do like a couple pages like most books. And then I'm like, okay, I'll come back to it tomorrow. I was so intrigued with it going, oh my gosh, this is taking me somewhere, right? And I'd go to the next one and it's like, this is still taking me somewhere. Right. And it literally did. It was my mentor taking me on some journeys, and it really got me thinking.
Well, it's like I said, this is a download. This book was meant to be here, and it came, and it was written, you know, in 2009, and this was before, you know, we even had some of the research we have currently on it, you know, and so the book was written in metaphor form, because every time you go read it, you're going to read it from where you are at the time you read it. So every time you read it, it's going to be different by the nature of who you are when you read it. And so that's the beauty of metaphors. You hear it from wherever you're at, and it's timeless. It's something you'll do again and again. You'll never get over going on the giant's journeys, right?
Yeah.
This is a lifelong decision to be a part of this.
You know, and that's crazy because you know my story, Nick. I've been working on myself since 2009, right? So it's crazy. That's when the book started. And I had been working on myself all the way up to still this time, and I'm still working on myself, and I will continue to do so.
Yeah.
And you said when we read the book, we look at it for where we're at in our life right now, you know, or at that time. I was still really a small at that time. I don't think that way about myself anymore because of the heart. You know, I've been putting a lot more effort in towards growing.
Yeah.
That's why I think it intrigued me so much, because I was playing small, because I figured that's just who I was. That was my nature, right? I wasn't good enough to be a giant. I wasn't good enough to go any further because this is how it is.
Yeah, we do that. I'm going to go through the framework. Let me do that. And then it'll give context to everything we do, because We use it everywhere. This framework applies to your individual growth. It applies to relationships. It applies to job. It applies to career advancement. The first journey is non-consciousness. So the non-conscious is including the body and the mind. It's everything that we think we are. So everything that was ever handed down, our proto-value systems from our families, our culture, our values, our personal values, our morals, ethics, attitudes, perceptions, those are all stored within that non-conscious stage. So that journey is all about recognizing that we all have the ability to create anything about our world that we want to create. So if I think I'm unworthy, then I'm going to create that in my world. If I think I'm undeserving, then my inner world is saying I'm undeserving, and I experience my outer world that way. So the journey of non-consciousness is recognizing that there's programming going on that makes me think I am who I am. And it has me measure myself in relation to others or other things. And when I think I'm not measuring up to those things, then I get to judge myself or justify myself for being there. And so therefore I stay in the non-conscious world and continue to have that create my world. And I call it fate. I call it destiny. And so as long as my world is reactionary, I'm out there reacting to my world, not creating my world, but I am creating my world because my creation of my world comes from who I think I am. And that's all programmed in. So the journey of non-consciousness is just recognizing that you can create some pretty messed up things about yourself. And on the flip side, just as amazing, you can do amazing things about yourself. So that journey of non-consciousness is just recognizing that you are massively equipped to be anything you can imagine. Even if you want to imagine yourself as a piece of shit or unworthy or undeserving, you even have the capability to do that.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It works both ways.
Right. Not a requirement, but you can do that as much as you could create yourself into being an amazing and powerful human being. It's all in there. So that's the first journey, is recognizing we're all equipped with a brain and body that are just incredibly powerful at generating our world. Now, number two, the second journey is awareness. The first step in transformation is awareness. And so the second journey teaches us to really get curious about that inner world. Who do I think I am? What am I speaking myself to be in this world? How am I showing up? How am I seeing the world? Am I playing the victim? And people will go from playing the victim to being the perpetrator. So they'll create themselves because of their justifications and their judgments of themselves. They then become the perpetrators and create victims in other people because of their victimization. And so we go in and we judge ourselves in our awareness about what's going on or what's been programmed or whatever's happened in our lives. And we have a chance to judge it, justify it, or get curious about it. And if we get curious about it, then we can do it from a gentle awareness and a compassionate awareness, and just recognize that all of us have stuff. Every one of us has history. And when we can get curious about it, we can really start to look at it and decide if we want to keep that or not, right? And then the third journey is about feelings, sensations, and emotions. It's called the journey of grief. And it's about the heavier emotions, because for most people, and I would imagine especially in addiction, those intense emotions are so intense that they numb out, they deflect, they distract, they hide from, they run from those intense sensations, and that keeps them stuck. So they stay in the cycle of spiraling back into their non-consciousness, waking up to it, judging themselves, feeling really bad about it, diving back in, and really resisting their lives as they are. And so you get stuck in this pattern of hating yourself, hating your life, hating what's been programmed in, and therefore generating and creating that in your outer world. It comes from you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
with that, Nick, if I can pause you just for a minute, with that, does that fall into accountability, not taking the accountability of where you're at that time?
Yeah. So that would actually be in the fourth journey, which is acceptance.
Okay.
And accounting is to account. You think about accounting as to add a number to, or to measure in some form. And in the journey of acceptance, it's about acknowledging, accounting for what is, right? And not resisting it, not resigning to it, not loving it. If you don't want to love it, you don't have to love it. Just simply acknowledging and accounting for who you are, what's happened in your life, where you are currently, and not as a statement of there's nothing I can do about it, just simply this is where I'm at on the map. If I'm traveling to California and I'm in Salt Lake and I end up in Vegas, well, I wouldn't say that I can't go any further because I'm in Vegas. I would just simply say I'm in Vegas. I've still got some ways to go before I get to California, right?
Yeah.
So acceptance is simply where you are on the map. It's the X on the map. It's the GPS that tracks you wherever you are on that map. And it's an accounting, right? It's like, this is where I'm at. If my life is either ideal, it's what I had in mind, or it's not. And there's no resistance to it, right? People resist their world. And Carl Rogers says, as soon as you can accept your life just as it is, then you can change it. And the problem with most people is they hate their lives.
Yeah.
They don't want to be where they are, right? So they resist it. They fight it. So instead of being able to acknowledge it and accept it and recognize this is where I'm at on the map, no, they're fighting where they are on the map. And so they're not growing and they're not going anywhere. It's like that dot's just sitting there pulsing. I'm waiting, man. Where do you want to go? It's just like boom, boom, boom. And it's not moving.
I love how you put that, because I struggled with that in the past, right?
Yeah.
Doing the work that I do, I don't want to do it. I'm tired of doing it, right?
Right.
And
right.
I would go to work going, I just don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here.
Right.
I finally woke up one day and went, wait a minute, I'm doing this all wrong. I got to be able to be grateful that I'm here, because it is bringing money and it's paying my bills. I need to accept it. I need to take it. I live in a freaking trailer.
I do. Yeah.
I bought the trailer from you, right? It's like,
yeah.
It's like, it's BS, right? At my age, I don't want to use the should word.
Yeah.
However, I'm not supposed to be in a trailer, except however my life events have happened has ended up putting me here.
Okay.
And I've thought that same thing too, right? What you just explained. And it's like, you know what? Wait a minute. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to deal with it. And I'm going to continue to work on me and doing what I need to do, because I know if I do, it's going to change it.
Well, if we go through those journeys, so they're the root journeys, right? The first 6 journeys are the root journeys, and that's all inner work. It's all in here, right? Because I don't want you in the growth journeys and expressing out in the world until we get this right in here, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at what you just described, there is that there are automations and habituations that have been created that continually create your life the way that you see it. You continue to react and act in the world from that. So what comes into your reality is an expression of what's going on in you. So you think, this is what I'm deserving of. This is what I'm worthy of. And then you create from there. And then when you wake up to the idea that you're doing that, you judge yourself for it. I shouldn't be here. My ideal is this, and I shouldn't be there. So you measure yourself against your ideals and you experience depression, like Lisa Feldman Barrett talks about, right? When we feel depression, when we feel like we're not measuring up to our own ideals. And then you feel the feelings or sensations of depression, which could lead to addiction because they're so intense. You're trying to manage the thoughts and the sensations. And so you drink to soften that, or you do drugs to soften that, or you do something else, sex, food, whatever.
Yeah.
To soften that. And then that takes over. And now you're judging yourself for doing that. So you're still not moving, right? So then you go into the journey of feeling your sensations and really naming your sensations, not necessarily the emotions. We had a guest on our show that talked about ART therapy, and she talks about how they focus on sensations, not emotions, which I think is so powerful, because we always try to name our emotions. And what if we're wrong? What if we're not naming emotions? We're just naming the sensations that we're trying to numb out in our bodies, or the feelings, right?
Yeah.
So when we can fully be with those and fully experience those and express them. Edith Eger says that when we express things, expression is the opposite of depression, is what she says. So when you express it, it heals it. And that's what they're seeing with these therapies, is that when you can express your emotions, they tend to separate from the memory. So now you have the memory still, but you don't have the sensation tied to it. So it's not as impactful, right? So we want to get to that point of, if you look at, you're in a trailer, you have thoughts and judgments about being in a trailer, you have justifications for being there as well. Then you have sensations that come up in your body, and then there's a resistance of being there. I shouldn't be here. So you fight what is, and then you stay where you are. You're just in this loop, right? And you're simply, if we're really matter of fact clear about it, all that is happening is you are in a trailer, no judgment, nothing else. That is all that's happening. There is no, I shouldn't be here by the time I'm 60, right? In my 60s, I shouldn't be here. That is a judgment, right? Now, the scripture says, judge not lest you be judged. It's like, well, don't judge yourself either. Why are you judging yourself? Because how you judge yourself is how you're going to judge others, but you're judging others off the ideas you think you have about what you think they're thinking.
Right.
So it's really just those first 4 journeys are really about acknowledging your life and waking up to it. Because if you don't know you're doing it, there's nothing to do. Unless you're awake to it and aware of it, there's nothing to do. And that's when the real work begins. You become aware of it. You fully feel the sensations of it. You start to acknowledge your life where it is right now. It's like, here I am on the map. This is what I have around me as far as resources. Where do I want to go from here? Right. But we're not out of the root journeys yet. So what are you hearing so far before I ramble on?
No, I'm hearing everything that has helped change my mindset, right?
Yeah.
I was going over with how I was looking at things and how I was feeling, and you were 100% right. It's like I was trying to put 2 magnets together continuously and hoping that they would attach, right? And it took that consciousness of me going through my head and really paying attention to what my thoughts were going, whoa, wait a minute. This is not how it is, right? And I like to joke around now. I'm just like, yeah, I'm a professional camper. I mean, seriously, I'm a professional camper. I camp every single night. And that's how I look at it, is that I'm out camping, right?
So notice that becomes a justification. And anytime you're justification and judgment about where you are, it keeps you from learning.
Okay, so I mean, I'm not understanding that, because I think I'm still learning.
So if we look at, you're simply in a trailer, doesn't make you a professional camper or anything else. It's just a place of living. That's it. It's just a place to be, right? It's shelter.
Yeah.
And so justification would be, well, I'm in the shelter because now I'm a professional camper, and that seems to soften it for you in relation to other people. So when you talk about where you're at, the resistance to where you're at, the justification is, well, I'm where I'm at because I'm a professional camper. And so that softens the impact of being where you're at, which is still a resistance to where you're at.
So even though I'm kind of joking around, really, that's still what I'm doing. I'm actually still doing it.
We tell our truths through joking around, right? Like we make light of it. We make jokes out of it. And the truth is, and all that is happening without judgment or story, is you're in a camper. That's it. Right? The rest is made up. Any suffering, any discomfort that comes from any point beyond that would be made up. You create it.
Okay.
Anything you tell to other people is made up. Are you a professional camper? Is that really a thing even? You know what I mean? I'm not diminishing the joke, but to think it through, it's like, this is how we soften the blow. And it's so subtle that it offsets the dissonance. Okay. So you have a dissonance between your ideal life and your dream life and where you're at. And humor softens the blow between the dissonance between that life that you have in mind and where you're at. It's like this. I'm a kind person, except when I get behind the wheel of a car in Utah and traffic, right? And then I'm an asshole. And so I have these 2 worlds, right? I'm kind, I'm an asshole. And so when I'm an asshole, I have justifications for being an asshole. They're terrible drivers. Nobody knows how to drive in Utah. I'm a professional asshole, right? Could be one. And it softens it. So I don't have to go close the gap between being an asshole and being kind. I can now be an asshole and be justified in being it. Right. Okay. So there's no learning. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality is I could go back to being kind as a practice. That's what I'm saying. You're practicing creating the world you want to create, and your justifications keep you from doing that, even in the jokes.
Okay,
Right?
that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Yeah, that
Does that
helps
help?
a lot. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you bet. You bet. So now instead of going down the road and flipping someone off, I just say, hey, you're number one. Right? No, I'm kidding.
Just the finger that you choose matters, right? You're
Yeah,
like, yeah, you're
yeah.
number one.
I've been working on that one too.
But I'm not innocent of that. And I still have this as a practice for myself. Now I'm not sitting here on a soapbox saying I never do what I just described. I absolutely do what I just described. I'm doing the work just like I'm telling people to do the work.
Yeah.
But when you can acknowledge that you are where you are on the map, and it's not where your ideal is, your dream or vision, it's just simply where you are. It gets you into moving towards your dream and vision. It doesn't have to lose hope, or, you don't have to give up your dream. It's just simply, this is where I'm at. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's crazy too, because I say that as well, right? I see it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just had someone that I was working with a couple days ago, and they were asking me how I feel about it. And I'm like, it's freaking amazing. I close my eyes, I see it, I feel it, I
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
it, I
Yeah.
taste it. I
Right.
know I'm close, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's having people on the show like yourself that also helps give me a little bit more information to go, okay, I didn't realize this was causing this. So now that's something else I can work on.
Right. And that's, the goal of the first 6 journeys, the root journeys, is to elevate your view. Right. So if we're on a graph, and let's say you get triggered and you fall down into the lower emotions and lower thinking, and so you're back in your old automations and patterns. Well, number 1 is to recognize you're there. Number 2 is to feel the sensations of it, really face them and get curious about it. Number 3 is to accept your life exactly as it is. Like, it is what it is. You are where you are, not as a statement of resignation. Then once we can get to that point of acceptance, then natural expression is gratitude. It's like wildflowers in the spring. You don't have to plant them, they just come up. So when you can accept your life just as it is, you naturally start to see the positive in your world. You naturally start to see all the good things that have happened. What has grown in you since you started this journey? You start to see it. And gratitude is the foundation of all abundance. So that's Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
So when you start to express gratitude, you're also starting to recognize that you're swimming in abundance, right? It never changed. See, Byron Katie, she says that as long as you think the problem is out there, as long as you think someone else is the issue, there is no hope. You are forever the victim of your life. You're suffering in paradise. And that last sentence, you're suffering in paradise, is the key. Paradise never changes. This world is the same for you. It's the same for a billionaire. There is no difference. What changes is our perception of the world. God placed everything we would need, all the materials, resources, opportunities, people that we would need into this world. And it's up to us to transform them from what they are into what we have in mind. But if you can't see the positive in that, you can't see that abundance, you can never change it.
Yeah. It's the message in the mirror.
Yeah. Explain that. What do you mean?
Well, just the message in the mirror. It's looking at yourself, right? We've talked about it at work a few times. I have this guy that I work with, and maybe you've met him. I don't know. His name's Cap, and we get
Yeah.
into some pretty serious conversation. And just talking about looking at yourself in the mirror and just seeing the message behind your life, right? You've
Yeah.
said it before, I believe, that there's a lesson behind everything. Everything that happens to your life, whether it's positive or negative, there's a lesson in it. And I learned that a lot too, even by looking at myself in the eye and wanting to say something positive. And I found out I couldn't even look at myself in the eye every time I went to go say something positive. I'd look away and then I'd look back. And it
Right.
took me a couple of weeks to realize it.
Right.
But again, it's just, I don't know the proper way of saying it, just that message in the mirror by looking at yourself and again, accepting where you're at right now, right? Because it doesn't mean you're always going to be there. Just accept it and just keep moving forward.
Well, we're going to change that too. So we're
Okay.
going to get through these root journeys, and we're going to dive into that. So we
Okay,
got
let's
about
do
30
it. So
minutes left, right?
we're at we was at
Number
number
5.
4, right? Now we're on 5, correct?
Number 5 is gratitude,
Okay.
right? Start noticing the good in your world, the positive. Start looking for it, not as toxic positivity. Really explore what's good about my life. What's good about everything that happened. I wouldn't be who I am without everything that happened in my life. And so it's all positive, every bit of it, even the hard stuff, even the divorce, that was a challenging thing. But without that divorce, I wouldn't be here on the show with you. Right.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of positive. Number 6, the 6th journey is empowerment. It's finding tools, resources, people, things around you that help elevate your view of the world. So we're trying to get back from that dopamine state, right? We're getting into that. We're getting into serotonin, and we're getting into oxytocin, right? So all of these tools help elevate our view. And when you feel these more positive chemicals in the body, now you're going to start looking at possibility. Now you're going to start seeing the abundance of the world. Now you're going to start visioning and having hope for a brighter future, right? But when you're feeling the other emotions, the other sensations in the body, then the anxiety, the adrenals, the cortisol, the depression, right? Then you look at the future and you look at the unknown and you feel uncertainty and you get scared of it and you get disappointed and you have despair, right? But when you're feeling positive, you have hope and you're excited and you're ready to jump and run, right? So these first 6 journeys are about moving you on that trajectory up, right? Because when you can accept your life and you start seeing the gratitude, those are the first 2 steps. And then you go into the empowerment tools. Now you're getting your body to catch up with you, because the body does what it does. It's designed to release chemicals. They should only last 90 seconds in the body on average. And most of us are going on a decade of these emotions, right? I mean, I did it. I had anxiety for over a decade, and I had complex PTSD, and they're manageable now. They don't affect my life like they used to, but there was a period of my life where they completely ran my life, right?
Yeah.
And so when you recognize tools like dialectical behavioral therapy, ART, having a therapist, getting coaching. I've had mentors. I haven't had a ton of money to pay for mentors, but I've been coached every week for 4 years straight. I've had over 250 mentors coach me for free by being on my podcast, right? So I've had coaching every week for 4 years for free. So don't let that be your excuse. I started a podcast and people are like, yeah, I'll share what I know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, dude, I would have paid 10 grand for this session. Right.
No, 100% right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I used to do, when I did the shows on Thursdays, I used to say it was Therapy Thursday, right? Because I was getting coached, and I still do every week. It's just
Right.
on Fridays now. Even those who are in long-term recovery, they're
Right.
coaching me, right? Because of the stuff that they've learned. So
Right.
we're all grabbing something.
Yeah. If I've seen further than where I am, right, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. Is there are plenty of people around you that are willing to support you and lift you up, whether you can afford it or not. If you can afford to pay for it, please do, because of a value creation, right? Please do that. If you can't, find ways to get creative around it, right? Like we have our weekly podcast, you have your show, we have our Tribe of Giants, on Facebook. So there are plenty of ways to get supported. So there really is no excuse not to get supported, right?
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Okay.
So the 6th journey, the journey of empowerment, is about finding all the resources you can find to help you elevate your mood. Music, grounding, smells, eating ice cream, having a glass of wine, if that's your thing. Now, in the addiction world, that might be too much, right? So find something else that's healthier for you, but find tools that elevate your view of the world, right? And that's our goal. The first 6 journeys are about breaking ground. It's about getting out of the dirt, out of the shit pile, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't do these first 6 journeys, I love what Steve Hardison says. He says it's like frosting dog shit. You want to put on all the good stuff, but you haven't done the inner work. All you're doing is frosting dog poop.
Yeah.
And it's not going to help you grow. So we have to do this inner work, every one of us individually, and then collectively when we get in relationship, because it'll trigger stuff. And then you still have to do your own work around those triggers. Right.
Yep. Amen.
So that's what we're trying to do. The root journeys mean let's break ground. Let's elevate you enough that we can see daylight. Right. Let's see the sun a little bit. Let's recognize there's more resources above the ground than we knew about. But underground, there are a ton of resources too. The roots pull in all the nutrients that are under the ground. Once it breaks ground, then it pulls in the nutrients from above the ground. And that's what we're going to get into next is the growth journeys. Okay. So when you elevate your view, and this is a constant cycle, because anytime you stretch beyond where you are with an intention, and I want you to pay attention to words like attention, intention, tending to, entertainment, all stem from the word stretch, to stretch. So when you attend to it, you're attending to the stretching. You're tending to the stretching, like a tendon, right? Intention is you're stretching towards something. Entertainment is in between stretches. So all of these words are tied to growing beyond what is. So you think about a seed coming out of the ground, and what's it do? It stretches.
Yeah.
It's reaching. It's like reaching and reaching. You see a pea plant, they have it on fast motion on YouTube, and it's like spinning and reaching, spinning and reaching. And so in our world, that's what we're doing. Once we've broken ground, then we're going to create intentions. And the first thing you're going to face is uncertainty anytime you go into the unknown. And for a lot of people, they hate uncertainty. And the greatest illusion that we have is certainty. Certainty is made up. It is bullshit. You look at Nassim Nicholas Taleb, the mathematician, he says that, actually, it was Christopher Reeve who said that at first things seemed impossible, then they moved to improbable, and then they moved to inevitable. Well, Nassim Nicholas Taleb says, as empirical decision makers, it's our duty to hold uncertainty as our discipline, to move forward with incomplete information. And what are we doing anyway? We're moving forward with incomplete information. But we go around pretending like we have certainty because we bring forward our past and we say, oh, this is going to happen again. We predict it. We create that from our past. And it happens the way we predicted it because we brought our past forward. And then we say, see, I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And the truth is the future is unwritten. Your life is unwritten. It doesn't exist. None of it does until you create it. So uncertainty is simply pure possibility. Everything you can imagine on either side of the coin, on either side of the spectrum is available to you. The good, the bad, all of it. Everything is possible. Margaret Drabble says that when nothing is sure, everything is possible. So our goal as giants is to embrace the unknown, to embrace the uncertainty, because that's where pure possibility is, unfiltrated, pure, grade A possibility, right? Like
it's the journey, correct? It's the journey, the uncertain. Well, no, we don't want to say the uncertain, but it's the journey. Enjoy the process.
You just don't know until you create it. Your life isn't fated, but we keep repeating our past and then we call it fate. See, I told you this just keeps happening. It's fate. It's destiny for me. Well, no, your future is unwritten. You keep bringing your past forward and letting that predict your future. And then you step into that past that you've always known. You call that certainty, and it's all made up. So when you can let go of the idea that your past is made up for you, because it's not, then you can start to move to the next journey, which is abundance, journey number 8. And the number 8 is infinite, right? And I love that it lands on abundance.
Okay. I need you to back up just a second. What the hell was 7 then? I missed 7.
7 is uncertainty.
Okay.
The journey of uncertainty.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So 8 is the journey of abundance. Now, abundance says that all of the materials, resources, opportunities, and people that you need to create anything you can imagine are already here. Elon Musk didn't have to create Mars to go fly to it. He didn't have to create the materials to create the rocket ships. They were already here. The first law of thermodynamics says that energy is not created or destroyed. It's only transformed. You look at everything around you, at one point, it was chaos. Richard Paul Evans says that chaos is the mind of creation. And so everything around you was chaos and it was transformed. Chaos transformed. Mm-hmm. So chaos, as Rick Evans says, is the mind of creation. You get to mine from it. So all this chaos, whatever form it's in, you can take it, transform it into anything you imagine, and you're swimming in it. Abundance, like Wayne Dyer says, isn't something you acquire, it's something you tune into. So when you tune into the idea that you are swimming in abundance, and gratitude helps you do that, and embracing the uncertainty helps you to do that. And when you wake up to the idea, I have everything I need already around me, and it's up to me to transform it, then you can play in the playground. It's like getting the clay or the Play-Doh in kindergarten, and the teacher says, make whatever you want. And everybody gets the same block of clay or Play-Doh, right? Different colors. They can create anything they can imagine. And you watch kids go to work, they don't even question it. They take what is and they start creating with it. And we sit here and complain, there's not enough. I don't have enough. I don't have that. I don't have a red. If only I had a red, I could create my life. Right? If only I had a blue Play-Doh, I could create my life. We make up excuses for the abundance that surrounds us because it's not the abundance that's a problem. It's our ability to see it.
Yeah. Amen. And how often do you think we allow outside influences to keep us from doing that?
Pretty frequently.
Right?
Yeah, we listen to the stories. I mean, we've been conditioned to think that, right? There's a
Yeah.
scarcity of material. There's not enough in the world. Well, the materials that are here are the same materials that have always been here. There's no change to it. They're just in different forms. Nothing has changed, right? It's our usage of them that's changed. And so to say there's a scarcity of things is simply that we're not transforming it in ways that are working, or people might be controlling assets or things like that. So access could be an issue, but find ways to access it. Abundance doesn't change, access might change, and access changes by your vision of what abundance is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So find ways to access it.
Okay.
So here's where I want to play next, because the ninth journey is the journey of vision. And I want you to imagine that the universe doesn't think in terms of past, present, or future. It only thinks in terms of right now, right? Einstein says that time is relative. He also says that imagination is more important than knowledge. And so vision is the idea that when you write your visions, you never write it as I will be this, because then you're constantly pushing it into the future, and the universe doesn't work in the future. If you say I will be wealthy, that can never be present. If you say I will have a relationship like this one day, great. That will never be present. So the idea of I am and the power of the I am, or the it is that it is, even if it hasn't manifest yet. So anytime you write your visions, you want to write them as though you're telling a friend, you're in the same room with them while it's happening. You're calling the shots as it's happening. I'm sitting here at the desk. I'm talking on a microphone. I'm looking at Al Richards. He's rubbing his goatee right now, right?
Yeah.
You speak like that when it comes to your vision. It already exists. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, I think I just said on the show last week that I am are the most two powerful words, because the words that follow I am follow you, whichever direction you want to go, right?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm working with AI, artificial intelligence, and you want a scaled down version of the universe, play with artificial intelligence. Get into Chat GPT. It has 1.8 trillion parameters to pull from. Essentially, you can never run out of information for this model, right? And it will create for you whatever you want it to create based on your ability to prompt it, to tell it what to do. In the beginning was the Word, right? And the Word was God, right? And the Word was with God, and the Word created everything we see, right?
Yeah.
You go into Chat GPT and you put the Word into the machine, and it creates an outcome, and it creates the outcome based on your ability to speak it. And you start looking at, how am I speaking my world?
Mm-hmm.
How good am I at speaking my world into creation? Am I speaking my world as a world of lack, a world of not my ideal, a world of terribleness and crappiness? Or am I speaking it as possibility of anything I want is already here? What could I play with today? Right?
I love that you put it that way. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
I don't care what your world is right now. That doesn't mean that's what your world is. It's just simply what you've created to this point with your ability to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. This kind of falls back, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. This kind of falls back how someone's always waiting for the right time to do something, right?
Yeah.
Because that time will never come,
or
that person will never come. And
right.
you just basically just said it.
You're creating it.
Yeah.
And so, like, we had a guest on our other show. We had a relationship show last night that we did, and she said, create your ideal partner, because when you create your ideal partner, you speak them into existence. When they show up, you'll be able to recognize them. And if you don't know who your ideal partner is, you're out there scrambling, just taking whatever comes down the pipeline. It's like a spider setting up its web, and you hope a fly flies through it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus being a predator is like, no, this is it. And I don't mean that's a terrible word, predator, for it, but you're creating your world. I think people get this messed up. Rich Litvin says that your vision isn't where you're going, it's what's coming from you. And so your world becomes an expression of your ability to speak and your perceptions of the world. This is why the root journeys are so important.
Yeah.
If we don't elevate your view and you start looking forward into the unknown and you start visioning your world, you start visioning despair and loss of hope, right? So if we can elevate your view, then you have hope again. And hope theory suggests that when you have a clear vision of your future, you'll create hope for a brighter future. You'll know you're the one that's going to create it, and you'll overcome any obstacle to get there. Right? So stop worrying about how you're going to get there. Notice not one word was said about how you're going to do it by the ninth journey, right?
Yeah.
By the 10th journey, now we're going to play with the world of surrender. The 10th journey is the journey of surrender. And this is like, you don't know how you're going to do it. This is a faith journey. This is trusting that every step you take is getting you toward that vision. This is serendipity, magic, miracles, the unexplained, quantum physics. This is where the world aligns with you because of the clarity of your vision. You go to Habakkuk 2:2 in the Bible, it says, write the vision clearly, put it on tablets so that he that delivers it can deliver it clearly and it won't delay, right? And the next journey, there's no explanation of how it got there. In the book, The Giants and the Smalls, there's no explanation of how he went from small to giant. It just went from small to giant by dreaming big dreams. So when you create the vision clearly, the pathway will reveal itself every time you step. Like Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You have to connect them looking backward. You have to trust that they're going to connect.
Yeah.
That's the journey of surrender. Let go. Get back to your life. Go play. You're not playing the lottery here. You're watching for opportunities to step you into your vision. You're looking for the serendipity. You're clear on what aligns with that, right? So you're able to see it more clearly. You're able to grab it when it does come by. You're able to take the steps you need to do to grow. Your responsibility is not the how. Your responsibility is the vision, and to hold the vision and let go of the how. There's a book called Rich as, I don't know what I could say here, F words, right? And she talks about that
It
too.
happens.
Okay. The book is called Rich as Fuck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that book, she talks about her journey from poverty to wealth. And she says a similar thing, right? You are not responsible for the how. You're responsible to hold the vision. But we are responsible for stepping into the unknown, right? For taking steps toward the vision, even when we don't know how we're going to do it. Edison took 10,000 steps to figure his out with the light bulb, right?
Yeah.
He didn't know how he was going to do it, but he's willing to find 10,000 ways that didn't work to get to the one that did. So be willing to step, right? Surrender is I'll flow with it. I'll follow it. I'll do whatever I need to do over here so that I can get myself to that vision or flow into that vision or have that vision flow into me. So that's the 10th journey, right?
Yeah.
Now the final of the growth journeys is number 11 here is nurture. And so this is the fifth. There are 5 growth journeys. So you have root and then growth, right? And so the number 5 is nurture, which is self-care. It's maintaining what you've created. It's pruning what no longer serves you, getting rid of it. It's doing and taking care of yourself, growing in capacity. It's Benoit Mandelbrot, simple steps repeated create the complexity of life. It's nurturing yourself and growing yourself in the capacity that you need to grow to receive your vision when it comes, right? And so it's all about development. It's all about self-care. It's taking breaks when you need to take break. It's the seasons of creation. It's the spring, winter, fall, summer of creation. And so recognizing that we all have that when it comes to vision, we plant the seed for it, we nurture it, we reap the rewards, and then we rest, right? And people don't rest.
Yeah.
So self-care is about self-care. It's about resting when you need to rest. It's taking breaks when you need to take breaks. So it's taking care of the person that's doing all the creating. And you're number 1, right? Not the driver version.
Right.
Right. So let me ask you as a recap, what are you hearing in these first 2? We got the root journeys and the growth journeys, and those are complete now with the number 11. Like, what are you hearing in that process?
Oh, geez. Well, with the root journeys, I like how you're working from the inside out,
Yeah.
because a lot of people that I've interviewed right on our show who are in long-term recovery, that's what I mean, there was some, with the 12 steps. This is different with the 12 journeys. However, a lot of the guests had to learn how to work from the inside, right? And
Right.
you hear them talking about the consciousness and awareness and feelings and acceptance, accountability, the gratitude and the empowerment to be able to get them, I guess, basically build the foundation wall so they could continue to start building that home, which is the growth journey, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm hearing too also that there's still so much work for me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and again, I said I will continue to work on myself till the day they put me in the ground. I don't have to go through a divorce to learn how to take time to work on me. I don't have to
Right.
go through something else or get into another relationship or whatever. I'm constantly working on me no matter what life is throwing at me. And with what you've shared so far, Nick, again, it's made me realize there's still so much more
It'll
for
never
me
end.
to step into, right? And it's
Yeah.
opened my eyes on a lot of stuff. I mean, even the root journeys. I mean, really, I thought I had that pretty. Not saying I'll ever get it 100%. Maybe I will. I don't know. However, I realize now that there's still a long ways to go. Maybe I've known about this much of it, and I still got this much more to go.
I hope one day if I ever said to you, Al, I'm healed, that you'll slap me upside the head.
Yeah,
I'm healing, constantly healing,
constantly healing.
constantly growing, constantly learning,
Yeah,
constantly getting curious about this world. This is mountains without tops. You'll get big in one
exactly.
area, you're going to go back and do the root journeys with another area where you feel insignificant and small, and you're going to grow in that. And then you'll do it
Yeah,
again with something else. Anytime you stretch beyond where you currently are, it's going to throw you into the root journeys every time. It's like planting a garden every season, right? Every year.
yeah,
And so every time you put a new seed in, it's got to go through the same process. And every year you're like, why didn't that seed just take so I don't have to do this every year? You do. It's just the law of this universe. You have to replant the seeds. And then you go
yeah,
through the same process again and again. Trees are very good at it. They're a lot more patient than I am.
yeah.
Right.
Right. Well, and that's a key too, right? Is the patience.
Right.
When I worked in manufacturing, I had 43 employees underneath me, and I'd do evaluations, right? Had 43 evaluations to do every single year.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot too, mainly with my mechanics. They're like, I've been here 10 years and I know everything there is to know about the packaging lines. And I'm like, oh, really? Seriously?
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
here 26 and there's shit that still happens that I'm like,
Right.
how the hell did this happen? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Because it always changes. It always changes. There's no way we could ever know it all. And I believe too, I think that's where we fall back in frosting the dog shit, as Steve
Yeah.
talks about, right? Because
Yep.
we think we have it and we end up standing in that same pool of shit for how long?
Right.
Because we think we're there when really you need to continue to keep moving. You can't stay stagnant, because once you do, what happens with stagnant water? It sits there for such a long period of time, and pretty soon, fungus starts growing and bugs are landing in it and dying, and
Yeah.
it stinks. And I think we do that with our own lives, right? We think we're in a comfortable place, and since we're comfortable, we stay there when
Right.
really all we're doing is more harm to ourselves.
Right. Yeah. It's a constant journey. You'll never be done for your whole
Yes.
life. It'll always give you something to work for and work toward. And I think that's where it brings us to the final journey, the
Okay.
fruit of our efforts, right? You think about the tree, you have the roots, the shoots, and the fruit, right?
Yeah.
And so the fruit is the legacy. The word legacy comes from legatia, which means a gift by will. It's your meaning of life. It's the gift you want to leave with the world while you're alive and maybe when you're gone, right? In 100 years, most of us will be forgotten. In 300 years, we definitely will be. But as much as we're able, they say it's what's imprinted on the hearts of men more than what's in stone. That's our legacy. Pablo Picasso said the goal of life is to find your purpose, and well, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away,
To
right?
give it away. Yeah. So you're saying 12 is legacy?
Legacy. That's the
Okay.
12th journey, is legacy. Is what is your why? What is your meaning that you're giving to this? Viktor Frankl and his books, Man's Search for Meaning and Yes to Life, was his other book, which is incredibly powerful. If you haven't read that one yet, the idea is that the meaning of life is to give meaning to life. And so what is your why? What gets you out of bed in the morning when it's hard? What gets you out of bed to keep pursuing your dreams and desires and hopes? Like, what is your reason for doing it? What is the fruit or the gift you'd like to leave with the world? And trees don't ask for payment, and they release thousands of apples every year, or oranges, and they don't ask for us to pay them back.
And plant thousands of seeds.
They do, and they just keep abundantly giving, right? Humans, we tend to do the other, where we charge people for it, but the world is designed for abundance and to give back abundantly. And so how do you want to give back to the world? What's your gift to the world? Even in a small way. It doesn't have to be big. Like my version of that would be different from yours, and your version would be different from somebody else's. We are all unique in our way of giving. If the world was only full of apple trees, it would be a very bland and boring world.
Yeah.
Right? So your legacy, your gift is your gift, and it's unique to you, and it's up to you to find ways to give back to the world with that gift, right? And these journeys are what takes somebody from feeling insignificant and small to really living a giant life and living that abundance that we're surrounded by. And it's going through each of these 12 journeys again and again and again that helps us to scale in ways we can't even imagine. There is no limit to the growth that we can reach, only our minds. Right. Just like AI, right? There's no limit, only our minds and our ability to prompt this incredible universe that's been stocked full of everything we could ever imagine. And we've been equipped with the machine to navigate it. So there is no faulty equipment here, only faulty thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Amen. Amen. Man, our listeners got a lot of amazing information today. Nick, thank you so much for sharing the 12 journeys with it. I mean, this is incredible. And I've talked to you, I don't know how many times. You and I have done some Zoom calls just individually, and you've helped me with some coaching on some stuff. And I'm always picking something up. I'm always picking something up.
Me too.
It's kind of like back in the old days, feeling under the table, and there's all these things of chewing gum where people just stuck in there. I mean, how many different flavors are under there, right?
Right. Yeah, you got to sort through them like on Elf.
Right. Yeah. Couple questions before we sign off, because again, I want to respect your time, and I know that you took time out of work to be on the show.
Yeah.
2 questions. You can either answer one or both, or one or the other. It doesn't matter. What would you want our listeners to gain from what you shared with us today? And or what would be your main message?
I'm going to pull that all into one answer, right?
Okay, let's do it.
You, the viewer, are already giant. The acorn is already the oak tree. It doesn't have to go find itself to become the oak tree. It just needs to express that. You are already the giant. So anything that's keeping you from that is what we'll work on, right? So it's already in there. You're programmed with it. It's equipped. So there's no becoming a giant. There's only unbecoming anything that makes you feel small.
That's huge. That is huge. I love that. You need to put that on a t-shirt. That's a lot of work, though.
Yeah, it'd be I don't think people would slow down to read it now. So,
right? Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
You got that right. Nick, again, man, thank you so much. It has been such an honor and a pleasure,
Thank you.
to have you as a friend, to have you on the show. Thank you for what you do for others, to help them open their eyes and help them see that they are giants, right? And again, I'm just going to say, I just got to say thank you to Nicole Costello, because she's the one that introduced us. I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Beautiful human. Yeah, beautiful, incredible human. Yeah.
Yep, she is, absolutely. And that's what's created this friendship. And I mean, I know it costs me $100 a month to keep it going. However,
Yeah.
it's worth it. No, no, just to be able to meet you and what you guys have grown on
Yeah.
AKI the Giants and the individuals. I mean, we've all become like this huge family, right?
Yeah.
There's so,
Yeah.
and it's people from all over the world.
All over.
I'm going to make sure that I get everything I can on the captions. However, before we sign off,
Yeah.
how can people find you? How can they find everything that you're working on?
I think the easiest way is go to giantsandsmalls.com, take the quiz on there. There's an emotional giantness quiz. It'll tell you where you're at in your giant's journey. It's free, so there's nothing to do there. And then you'll have access to the blog and the YouTube channel and the Tribe of Giants through that as the portal to everything. So the giantsandsmalls.com, you can get the book there. You can take the quiz. You can access the YouTube channel, the tribe, everything that we're up to.
Okay. And check out, guys, check out Wake Up with Giants every Sunday at 9 o'clock. I mean, that
Yeah.
the guests that these guys have on the show are amazing. And actually, I've stole a few of their guests that have been on the show to be on my show.
I
And
was wondering where they went.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw a little tidbit of the one that you just talked about, the lady that talked about the love stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cute brunette gal. I'd love to
Yeah.
reach out to her because again, we all need to learn how to just even love ourselves, right? How
Right.
can we get love from others if we can't even love ourselves?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. Again, Nick, thank you, brother. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. Thank you to all our listeners, all our past guests, our future guests, all our sponsors. Guys, none of this would be possible if it wasn't without you. And I am dead serious about that. Again, you guys are the ones that are making this possible. And guys, like and share and subscribe, please. I am like 6 subscribers away from hitting 500. And to me,
Awesome.
that's huge. I need 500 more. However, I'm accepting and I'm taking and I'm celebrating every single one of them. So please go on YouTube, like and subscribe. It would really help us out. And remember this, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.